tiny village of Willingale, which you all remember, in 1943 and 44, were days of great excitement and activity. As the 387th moved on to the just completed base in June 1943, it was particularly exciting to a young boy in his teens who lived with his parents on a tract of land near the pub in Willingale. The young boy should have been in the intelligence section, as he spent a great amount of time observing the group's activity. To him, watching the daily movements stirred him to become one of the leading researchers of the Martin B-26 Marauder in the United Kingdom. He probably knew more about us than we did ourselves, and I'm discounting the proximity of the Willingale pub. His son, Alan, followed in his father's footsteps and also became an aviation enthusiast and outstanding researcher, not only of Marauders, but many other types, including Russian military aircraft. Peter and Alan have made several trips to Moscow area for information. Over the years, there has been a bond between the Crouchman family and the 387 bomb group. These two gentlemen now live in Chelmsford, where they have always been gracious hosts to members who have visited the area of Station 162. Peter was a guest of the 557 of our reunion in Philadelphia in 1979, which I can modestly say I hosted. Alan, his son, is now manager of Northfield Airport. It is now one of the London satellite commercial airports, only a few miles west of where we were stationed. At the time we were there, a Polish Spitfire squadron was stationed there, and perhaps other RAF squadron as well. God forbid, if our escorts, if you didn't hit the rendezvous point, you were left to your own devices. I'm sure Alan will tell us more about it. Peter and Alan planned to stop in Washington on the way here. They were at the Smithsonian for 2 days and got a lot of other information. And tomorrow they're going up to Chino, California, to a museum up there. Before they leave, go back home on Wednesday. It is a great pleasure, and before I introduce them, I want to thank everybody that contributed, ponied up the money to bring our guests here tonight. The 557 men, the 558 men, anybody else that contributed. You all know who you are. Again, thank you. It is with a great pleasure and our good fortune to have these two gentlemen from Great Britain. I don't know, you know, we saved their ass, but anyway.
And we thank you.
Thanks to the 387 group support in having these men our guests. Without further ado, I may present Peter and Alan Crouchman.
Good evening. Gentlemen of the 387th Bomb Group, ladies and guests. I'd like to thank you for inviting us over. I had no idea what I was going to call this talk. It's not. I do aviation talks in England, but nothing like this. I talk about particular subjects. This is a mishmash. This is a little bit about the Crouchman family. It's about the bomb group. It's about my new career and how I accidentally fell into it. And that's the truth. But when we were singing those songs earlier, the title came to me, and it's Sentimental Journey. And I'd like to take you on a sentimental journey with the Crouchman family. When I was a young lad in the 1950s and 1960s, my grandmother still lived in the village, and the family would get together at Christmas times, birthday parties, etc. And invariably, the talk at some point would go back to the Yanks. And of course, you're all Yanks to us. And I'd listen into those stories, and I'd hear these, what tales they'd tell about us, about you. Apparently you were loud. You rode your bicycles like banshees, and you gambled, and that was a new thing to the British. The British don't gamble, and you seem to gamble on anything, and you chased our women. Now I found this hard to believe in the sleepy little village of Willingale, because back in the 60s it reverted to a very, very sleepy village. And I found this hard to understand the events that went on in the village. The old airfield at Station 162, always known to us as Willingale, never Chipping-Ongar, and known today on aviation charts as Willingale, incidentally, was my playground. I'd wander the old airfield as a lad, through the old Nissen huts, wondering what stories they could tell. The most prominent building was the old Obs building, and these photographs incidentally are taken this summer, which still stands. The interior was derelict, but 60 years previously it had been the operational heart of the group. I'd wander out onto the flying field, the old hard standings, desolate and windswept, and stand in awe and wonder what had happened and how the aircraft stood ready for their missions from Willingale. This photograph, incidentally, it shows Wham Bam on the hard standings. You can see the camera ship as a B-17, and the photograph was taken on the 13th of December 1943, when the group had just got back from bombing Amsterdam Schiphol, one of the toughest targets in Europe. And I just wondered about the group, about the people, and wanted to know more. My father's always accused me of having an inquisitive mind, and I just begged for more. But before I continue on that, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Willingale. Now, Willingale is not named after some obliging member of the female sex. Well, I'm sure there may have been a few around in 1943 and 1944. In actual fact, it's an Anglo-Saxon term. The village dates way back to the years 800 and before, and means little nook of Willis people. Willis was the local chieftain at that time. Now, I don't know how much you know about English history, but in 1066, this Norman chap, he came over and beat us, and we had the Norman conquests. And that's the last time that England had been invaded. Oh, the Spanish had a go in the 1600s with their Armada, and Napoleon tried to have a poke in the 1800s. And we managed to hold off Hitler in 1940. But then what happened? Oh, sorry, I missed myself there. The two churches in Willingale, side by side, the nearest one is the Anglo-Saxon church dating back to the